everyone! So in today's video, I'm going to be discussing another unpopular opinion. I'm going to be discussing the Divas era. I'm so excited to be delving a lot deeper on this topic. A lot of you requested it in my past comments of my last video, the other unpopular opinion, intergender wrestling. A lot of you guys wanted me to discuss the Divas era more in depth, and I'm so excited to be touching on that more so in this video. Before I do that, it is imperative, if you like my content, to please subscribe and tap the notification bell to stay alerted every single time I upload a video, as well as following me on my socials at Valina WWE on Instagram and Twitter. So in this video, I'm going to be just touching on the Divas era. The Divas era is a very controversial topic. There's a lot of people who love the Divas. There's a lot of people who hate the Divas. I'm definitely a firm believer in supporting the Divas because at the end of the day, I'm going to start from the beginning. The Divas were never taken seriously. They were signed as eye candy and they did the best that they could. You know, these women tried to do more. They tried to get training on the outside. Watch interviews. Ashley Massaro talked about this. Rest in peace, beautiful. Tori Wilson talked about this. Several women talked about this. Hell, Candice Michelle wasn't given a chance until Trish retired. It was only until Trish retired that they wanted to push Candice as the next Trish. And that is the only reason why Candice got the training she did and honed her skills and got so much better. But these women, tons of women, were hired back in the day as just eye candy. And a lot of these women wanted to train and get better in the ring so that the male fans could respect them. Tori Wilson went on record on an interview saying she wanted to be hit over the head with a steel chair multiple times so that the crowd could respect her as a wrestler. But Vince said to her, no, divas don't take bumps. They don't get hit with chairs. No. So what do you expect these women to do? Like, these women literally signed because of course the money is good, but they actually wanted to train and wrestle and get better. But they were refused that opportunity. So obviously there's a problem there when you want to do better and you want to be taken more seriously and you want to get the crowd to respect you and go outside of the company to seek training and to pay for your own personal training, but then you get reprimanded when you do that. It's like a lose-lose here. These poor women wanted to better themselves and wanted to be taken more seriously amongst the wrestling world and actually get credible training and not look like an idiot in the ring. But WWE would scold them and reprimand them and villainize them when they would get the training. So it's like, what's, you know, you can't even win here with WWE. WWE for so long, specifically Vince McMahon, did not take women's wrestling serious. They looked at the women as eye candy. And to be honest, that is just so problematic. And I get, you know, 10, 15 years ago, that was the norm, but it's just so wrong. It's just so wrong. And I just don't know how WWE got away with that for so long, to just, you know, make the women look like eye candy and valets and just a piece of ass, you know? It was just so gross and demeaning and degrading. And I'm not shaming the women at all. That is a job for them. They signed on knowing that that was a job. And but what they tried to do is, even though they were eye candy, they accepted that as it is. They tried to push the boundaries back in 05 and 06 and 07 and so on and so forth until we got to the women's revolution. They tried to push the boundaries as best they could. Victoria went on record saying she, for so long, pushed for a women's steel cage match, and she finally got it with Lita. But they tried so hard backstage, and they would constantly get denied whenever they would have suggestions for Vince in terms of pushing the boundaries for women's wrestling. They would constantly get denied. It literally frustrates me to no end to see so many people literally shitting on, talking badly about, bad-mouthing the Divas era. I'm a full 1000% supporter of the Divas era. Divas forever and always. I love you girls so much. You did the best that you could with the cards that were dealt to you at that specific point in time. And people have to realize that. Vince literally set them up to fail from the get-go. They were dead in the water once they signed, because even when they signed, they were just looked at as eye candy, just to further men's storylines. It was just awful. an awful time period. And the Divas literally did the best that they could. They literally signed with the intention to try to push the boundaries, to try to convince Mr. McMahon or Vince McMahon, whatever, to take the women's wrestling more seriously. But like I said previously, Vince would reprimand them if they got training outside of WWE. WWE would refuse to give them training because at that point in time, in 2004 to 2006, or, you know, 99 to 2008, or whatever it is, McMahon literally felt like women should not be taking bumps, they should not be taking extreme bumps, and he just didn't really believe in women's wrestling. And you could tell by the way the product was at the time for women's matches. The reason why the Divas era should get a lot more respect and adoration is because even though these poor women were just wrestling in 1-minute matches, they made the most out of that minute, okay? They maximized their time out there. They did the best that they could in a horrible situation. And that is why I have so much love and adoration and respect for these women, because they were literally pigeonholed in a time period where so many cards were stacked against them, and they were literally cornered in a sense because women's wrestling was not as popular. They were literally signed just as models and eye candy and just to further the men's storylines. And there were so many things working against these women, but they still did the best that they could with the cards that were dealt to them at that point in time in society. And I just think now everything led up to this moment for women's wrestling, not just in WWE, but women's wrestling in general. You know, women's wrestling, honestly, is better than men's wrestling, in my opinion. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a woman, but it just is. I think there's a lot of amazing, amazing, talented women in the wrestling landscape now. But that is why it is so important to pay honor to the people who have come before you. And that is why the Divas era will always be important, because even though they weren't really given any huge opportunities, they really did pave the way. They did the best that they could. You know, they pushed as much as they could back then when they were being outnumbered by so many men in upper management, literally shutting down their ideas, laughing at their ideas. They did the best that they could. They tried to push as much as they could. And now they're all happy because they finally broke those barriers. They broke the glass ceiling. And that is why I 100% support the Divas era, because they tried to make that era better. They tried, but it was Vince McMahon literally shutting down 100% all of their ideas, suggestions. He wouldn't let them get proper training, you know. So when you have all those cards stacked against you, you can't hate on these poor women who want to get better, who want to be taken more serious. You have to look at Vince McMahon and company. It's all on Vince. It's not the Divas era's fault. It's not the Divas' fault. They did what they could. They're literally being told not to get proper training. They're literally being held back on purpose. That is why I 100% support the Divas era. Please let me know down below in the comments. Of course, I encourage everybody to comment. Let me know what you guys think. After I explain that more in depth, do you guys understand why I'm such a big supporter of the Divas era? Let me know down below. If you guys like this video, please give it a thumbs up, of course. Subscribe to the channel and follow me on social media at ValenaWWE on Instagram and Twitter. Until next time, I'll be back soon. Love you guys. Bye.